Hey, so I thought before I reviewed what we did in class yesterday in P5JS, I'd do a quick review of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and how they work in an ordinary website. Right here, this is actually a local folder on my desktop. Right, here's my desktop, and then here's a P5 folder, although there's nothing to do with P5 in this folder. I have an HTML file, a CSS file, and a JS or JavaScript file. I just wanted to show you what each one of these looks like and how it works with one another before we jump onto P5JS. Okay, so these are all these files sitting in a folder, so they have a relationship with one another. Perfect. This is this basic CSS. Right here is that page in a HTML editor or in a programming editor. Probably the most interesting part of this for us is not this boring content. This is what the page actually looks like. Duh, super boring. But that's not the most interesting part. The most interesting part is these links and scripts that we have up here. So the idea with HTML in 2021 is that we can expand on it using external files and libraries. Right now, we're going to start with the easy stuff. I have this link with this information. This link talks to this external style sheet. Do you see href, external style, and then here's the external style here. What happens in this is it pulls in my style sheet, and here's my style sheet. It's basically saying, okay, make a purple background. All of the fonts should be Arial, and if the computer doesn't have Arial, then make it Helvetica. The fonts should be 12 pixels, and the color of the fonts should be white, and then some padding around the paragraph tags. And that's what we see here. Yep, purple background, white text, Arial, perf. So that is an example of expanding my simple HTML page, and I can make any kind of change in this external style sheet. Like maybe what I want instead of white is gray, a gray colored type. Oops, that was, it is gray. You can barely see it. It looks like garbage. Let's do some all green. Don't ignore that little thing. Great. So I'm changing this external style sheet. It's getting called into the HTML page, and then it's changing it. It's reflecting my changes. By the way, this is a link, and when we want to change the colors of the type relating to a link, we have to do something totally different. But we're not doing HTML in this class. We're kind of doing slightly higher level JavaScript. You don't need to necessarily, it would be good for you to know HTML, but you don't need to necessarily know this for this class. We're really focusing on how to write JavaScript code and how to pull it into a document. Cool, great. Okay, so the style sheet's getting pulled in here, and then it's reflecting. But I also have a jQuery.js. So this is a JavaScript, an external JavaScript file. And that is this file here, and that's what it looks like. And it has some JavaScript. And basically this JavaScript is saying it creates an alert box. So anytime I refresh my page, this alert box pops up. I just copied this example off the internet. So what's happening here is I have this JavaScript in this document. Cool. But what we see is I'm pulling it in here. Just like I did a link for my external link for my style sheet, I have a version of what JavaScript wants. And what JavaScript wants is some code that says, HTML, heads up, this is going to be a script file, and the script is going to be JavaScript. And the source is this jQuery.js, and that's sitting right there. Perfect. Because I'm using this JavaScript externalized library, I actually over here am going out to the internet and I'm saying, hello, internet, make sure that you load that external JavaScript library so that when I call this code here, it knows what I'm talking about. And again, we can take a peek at what this JavaScript library is supposed to look like. Boo, 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 boo. Lots of JavaScript that we don't need to write or parse or understand because the internet is pulling that in for us. Cool. And now what happens is this alert box comes up because I have this external JavaScript file called in right here. Just a little side note, sometimes I might have multiple JavaScript files, so maybe I would want to put them in a folder called JS. Right now, if I hit refresh, my alert box didn't come up. Why? Because I didn't tell my HTML code, hello, I've moved that JavaScript file. It's now in a folder called JS. All right, now I've put JS/, which means look in that JS folder for jQuery. I've saved it, and now when I hit refresh, there's my alert box. Now, I named this folder JS for JavaScript because that's semantically useful. Again, I could call it hot dog, no problem. I just would need to say, hey, there's a folder called hot dog over there, and inside of that folder is a jQuery JavaScript file. Get that out. Great, perfect. And I can, of course, make changes to the JavaScript folder, and I can say, I need more coffee. I mean coffee. And now when I hit refresh, so this is reloading the page. Hey, no, I didn't save it. Boo. Cool. Nope. What is happening? Oh, you know what's happening? I put my jQuery into this folder. So Sublime Text, which I'm editing it with, was like, listen, lady, I don't know. I had my jQuery file open in Sublime Text, but then I moved this jQuery file into this hot dog folder. So Sublime Text was like, you lost your JavaScript file. I'm just going to make another one. I threw that away. Let's try it again. I need more coffee. Right? So I had moved my JavaScript file while it was open. But let's refresh. Perfect. Because that's too insane, I'm going to close this JavaScript file. I'm going to pull it outside of this folder, and I'm going to get rid of this folder. I just wanted you all to see, now that I've gotten rid of this folder, I need to say, ooh, it's not in this folder anymore. It's on my desktop. Now I'm going to open this in my Sublime Text, and I am going to add some exclamation points, and I'm going to hit refresh. Great. So it pulls in that external JavaScript. This is exactly what we're doing when we're on the P5.js site. Let's jump over to P5.js and talk about that. So what we see here on P5.js is actually very similar to what we were looking at on my desktop. On my desktop, I had files. I had a HTML file. Yep, there's an HTML file. I had an external style sheet. There's a style sheet here. There's a JavaScript file, The only things that are different are the sketch, the JavaScript sketch that we create here in the P5 window, and this external fish ping. Now, if I had an image in my HTML file, it would also sit here, like this external fish ping sits here. So what we're going to do today is you're going to take this P5 glitch file and put it in your imported image P5 file. Did a really bad job of explaining that. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to share this file by copying this link, and I'm going to put it on Canvas so that you can see in your P5 web editor this exact same file. You want to click on this glitch sketch, and then you want to duplicate, and then you'll have access to all of the same files. Cool. Once you get there, it'll probably open up with your sketch. And what we want to do is this duplicated file, I want you to practice working with this directory in P5. So what I'd like you to do is copy this. So I'm doing Command C or Control C, and then opening up something very simple like WordPad. I'm going to use TextEdit. One of the main things about TextEdit or WordPad is I need to make sure that I'm using not rich text but simple plain text, so that when I paste it in, there's no, the application doesn't try to do anything fancy. Now I'm just going to save as P5 glitch.js, all lowercase, and I'm just going to save it on my desktop. Then I can go to my image, excuse me, my image where I just have an image in there. Great. This is where my image, I'm going to pull in an image in a moment. And what I'm going to do is use this here to upload a file, and I'm going to upload that P5 glitch.js. So now I have an HTML file, I have my leaf file, I have this expanded library, this expands my library, I have my sketch, and I have a style sheet. Okay, so I now have my P5 glitch.js. Over here I can't see that it's p5.glitch.js, but when I click on it I can see that it's named correctly. I uploaded my leaf ping by finding a smaller image and uploading it from my desktop. I uploaded this P5 JS file. I'm going to go over here because what I need to do is I need to make sure that my HTML document is pulling this glitch in. So I click on my index.html, and I just need to make sure that I type in !script space src. It's very common to do scr, but src equals p5.glitch.js, close quotes, close script. So you need to add that into your HTML document if you don't have it. I also want to keep both of these external scripts. These are, again, those libraries, JavaScript libraries that live out on the internet, and I'm pulling them in. These will have a conversation with not just the P5 glitch style, but also the sketch. So the sketches that we do in P5.js also use those external libraries. Now let's go to the sketch. Now what we did in class is I had you type up the code from the original file into here. What we're going to do is I'm doing Command A, Command C, and I'm on a Mac, and I'm just copying that code from the sketch.js over here. I'm copying it from this original one that we're using as our source code, and I'm going to paste it in here. The only thing that I actually need to change is this is loading the fish image, which we don't have here. Mine is called leaf.ping. And whatever your file is, you would want to have in there. Yeah, great. Okay, let's see if it's working. I'm going to run it, and it should bring up my leaf image, and it should glitch it for me. Now, if I want to manipulate this glitch in any way, I can change the this idea of replace bytes, like take the byte of 50 and make that 104. What does that look like? And so I can explore with all kinds of options.